said to me, well, how can you continue? Do you have the strength, the will or the enthusiasm or so? If I believed in the devil, I would say the devil was right here.
Deep in the Amazon rainforest, legendary director Werner Herzog is attempting to move this massive steamship over that hill. But the ship isn't moving. It's been 4 years since pre-production started, and morale is at an all-time low.
You can't escape of this fucking stinking camp.
This is a shoot like the world hasn't seen before.
This is the arrow that hit the man through the throat.
The budget is coming to a limit.
People have lost their lives. People have been in a plane crash and 5 of them in critical condition.
But the film is nowhere near finished.
And those are all the costs that you have to pay.
Very few people still believe in Herzog's vision. And the question has been echoing in the crew's mind for quite a while now. How can all this be worth it? And yet, Herzog says the ship must go up. We all know that ambition in art, if taken to the extreme, can become destructive. We've seen that happen throughout history. But I dare say that few have come close to being as extreme as Werner Herzog. I mean, throughout his life, he's gone to the most remote and dangerous places in the world. He's the kind of guy who'd take a bullet for his work.
For example, what?
You just said, I've been shot. Look, you're bleeding. Somebody shot at you and created a wound in your abdomen.
It's not significant.
But nothing would ever put him to the test so much as the production of his 1982 film, Fitzcarraldo. The movie is vaguely based on a real-life event surrounding Peruvian rubber baron Carlos Fitzcarraldo, who in 1893 managed to move a steamship from a river into the other, over a small strip of land that separated them. If the real-life baron managed to move his steamship across land almost 100 years prior, a modern film crew could certainly reenact the same achievement easily, right?
70% pode ser uma catástrofe. Pode ser uma catástrofe.
The real-life baron steamship was only 30 tons, and it was actually disassembled and moved in pieces over land. In the film, the ship bought for production weighs over 10 times more, and Herzog wants to do it all for real. Even if all went well, it would never be an easy film to pull off. And nothing went well. It's November 1979 when production starts, and things go south pretty quickly. Herzog has just found the best location to set up camp and start shooting, just 25 miles away from a border war between Peru and Ecuador. With the forest full of soldiers, the Aguaruna Indians, native to the region and crucial extras for the film, are being forced to see everyone as a threat.
And they spread rumors we would slaughter them and take the grease out of their bodies and cook the grease.
Although some of them agree to help, a newly formed tribal council, who's seeking political leadership, takes the opportunity to push away the whole production. As tension rises, the crew gets expelled at gunpoint by the Aguarunas, who burn their camp to the ground, and production ends before it even starts.
Sometimes I wish to sit in an easy chair and with a cup of tea next to me.
It takes Herzog another 13 months to find a new location, 1,500 miles north, now in Iquitos. These are just a few of the first scenes shots for Fitzcarraldo. This time, production definitely started. Now, if you've seen the film, you must be wondering how on earth you forgot that Mick Yeager and Jason Robards were in it. Well, you haven't, because they're not. Nearly halfway through the entire shoot, Robards got diagnosed with dysentery and was forbidden by his doctor to get back to set. As Herzog looks for another actor, 6 weeks passed, to the point that Yeager now has to also drop the film due to commitments for a new album and tour. After having nearly 40% of the film shot, Herzog has to start all over again.
When I came back to Germany and I tried to hold all the investors together, they said to me, well, how can you continue? Do you have the strength or the will or the enthusiasm or so?
A few months pass, and Herzog is finally back in the jungle, ready to start all over again. He would never recast Yeager's role though.
So I think that's biggest loss that I have had in my career as someone who makes films.
But he still needed someone for the leading role. And that's when German actor Klaus Kinski gets hired. Him and Herzog go way back, having worked on 4 films together. There was only one problem. They absolutely hated each other. Herzog may be a hard filmmaker to work with, but Kinski takes it to a whole different level. I mean, he was literally diagnosed as a psychopath. During the production of Fitzcarraldo, he constantly had fits of rage with both Herzog, the crew, and the natives.
Towards the end of shooting, the Indians offered to kill Kinski for me. They said, "Shall we kill him for you?" And I said, "No, for God's sake, I still need him for shooting." They were dead serious.
In the past, they had both threatened to kill each other, and if you see the interviews of Herzog even today, he's not very eager to try to pretend that that was a figure of speech.
He would be a dead man within 30 seconds flat.
I mean, how could he tone it down? Herzog actually pointed again at Kinski when he threatened to leave the set of one of his previous films. But why go through all this then? How could hiring Kinski would be a good idea?
He was an outright egomaniac. Whenever there was a really serious accident, this became an even bigger problem because all of a sudden he was no longer the center of attention. He was no longer important. The situation was this: we had a plane crash. We knew something cataclysmic had happened. Kinski arrives screaming, already foam at his mouth, and steps that close in my face and yells at me for an hour and a half. 6 people may be dead, and he would yell about his lukewarm coffee.
Kinski simply was a tremendous actor, and his work, paired with Herzog's genius, had earned them some of their best work ever.
I outgutted him, I outlasted him, I outfigured him, I outfilmed him, I outperformed him even.
And to Herzog, seems like that was all that mattered. And to put that into practice, how to better elevate the acting skills of both Kinski and the other actors than to move the whole crew to an even more remote part of the Amazon rainforest, separated 1,500 miles from the nearest village.
Herzog claims that the isolated location will bring out special qualities in the actors and even the film crew.
Camps were built in the middle of the jungle for the hundreds of natives that were both crew and extras. They were paid $3.50 a day, which was double what the going rate for them was at the time. But no money could ever pay back what was to happen. To start, a man was hit with massive arrows through the throat and leg. Same for his wife, hit 3 times on the leg and hip. A new rival group of indigenous people who wanted to stop Herzog's film. There was a doctor and paramedic on the camp who performed surgery on both for over 8 hours while Herzog sprayed insect repellent into the air to keep the mosquitoes away. And that wasn't even the only time Fitzcarraldo's set became an improvised surgery room. Thomas Mauck, the director of photography, split his hand in 2 while shooting a scene days later, and he too had to undergo surgery on a kitchen table for hours, this time without any anesthetic. Thankfully, they all survived. But things didn't always end up so fortunately. A young Indian native ended up drowning in the river after stealing a canoe from the crew. In many other cases, diseases spread among the crew, and with the poor conditions the jungle has to offer for treatment, some actually ended up succumbing to it. How much responsibility Herzog had in their deaths was a matter of contention.
I shouldn't make movies anymore. Do you have the strength? Should go to a lunatic asylum. Or the will or the enthusiasm. Very much of it is too crazy and too not what a man should do in his life all the time.
But when things seem like they can't get any worse, Herzog has the bold idea of shooting a scene with his ship in Peru's fastest and most dangerous rapids. The scene goes fine, but at the cost of the ship getting stuck in a sandbank, he would now have to wait for the rainy season to move it again, to be able to shoot the rest of the film. Little did he know, it awaited him the longest recorded dry season in the Amazon rainforest's history.
You can't go anywhere, you can't escape of this fucking stinking camp because you never know when they call you, because you have to be here, because you're paid for it. You go from there to there and from there to there, that's all what you can do.
It got to a point where the Indian crew was so bored and unmotivated that Herzog was advised by a local priest to hire prostitutes to keep the men entertained. And this was all before they even shot the hardest scene of the film.
La metáfora central de mi película es que jalan un barco a un cerro prácticamente imposible. Si yo pierdo eso, se pierde
mi metáfora central de la película.
We're at the bottom of the hill. This is the crux of the film, and the crux of the entire shoot. In the film, Fitzcarraldo and his crew are meant to pull the ship uphill, but Herzog didn't write the aftermath of it to end well. After they cross the ship over the mountain, the chief of the natives cuts the rope, securing it to shore, letting it straight to the rapids as an offering to the river gods. Fitzcarraldo is never meant to fully fulfill his dream, but in order to represent this, Herzog has to first raise the ship. So he hires a Brazilian engineer to assemble a system to pull the 320-ton beast. Thing is, the system is designed to work on a 24-degree incline, not the 40-degree one Herzog required. But then, he gets confronted with perhaps the easiest choice to make in the entire production. The engineer tells him that there's a 70% chance of dozens of people dying if he goes down this road. The ropes pulling the boat could snap, letting it slide down and crush all those in the way. Short after, the engineer quits. Herzog had decided to move forth with his vision, and using the exact same system, he manages to get the boat to move.
It works! It works! It works!
Honestly, it's hard to tell if Kinski's celebration in the film is him acting at all, but the ship moves ever so slightly, until it doesn't anymore. And no matter how hard everyone pushes, it stays still. The hope that was building is quickly washed away. Time is running out. Herzog needs money to move the ship, but the investors won't give him another dime before it moves first. He is stuck in the middle of a paradox. Some of the actors start talking behind his back about abandoning the project. They're required to be there as they need to be ready to act at all times in case the ship moves an inch. In the background, the usual Fitzcarraldo-ish things keep happening, like a man getting bit by a venomous snake and having to saw off his foot, or two planes filled with crew resources ending up crashing. Meanwhile, Herzog may somehow not have fully lost his faith, but his mind is beginning to go.
The trees here are in misery and the birds are in misery. I don't think they sing, they just screech in pain. It's a land that God, if he exists, has created in anger. There is some sort of a harmony. It is the harmony of overwhelming and collective murder, overwhelming misery and overwhelming fornication, overwhelming growth, and overwhelming lack of order. It is not that I hate it, I love it. I love it very much, but I love it against my better judgment.
Eventually, Herzog managed to be able to hire a new team of engineers. This new and more resourceful crew used heavier equipment. If, with the new gear and the knowledge they now had, they still didn't manage to move the ship, probably nothing else would. And after months of work, after everything that could have gone wrong, had gone wrong, after everyone's spirit had been broken, the boat, little by little, started to move up the hill once again. In the end, despite all the pain, death, and exhaustion, Herzog did get his film done. Fitzcarraldo released in January of 1982, and to a decent critical acclaim too.
The greatest filmmaker alive today.
Getting nominations at the BAFTAs, the Golden Globes, and even getting Herzog the award for Best Director at Cannes.
On the battlefield of life itself.
Dreaming makes us feel alive. We all have dreams that we want to make real. Not only do they give us purpose, they can often be relevant themselves. Either we create because we have something to say, or something to say is born out of what at first seemed a naive creation. It can be a story, a message, a feeling, a moment, and they quickly become something that can't just stay in our heads. They turn into something we have to make real, to share with the world. The consequences of achieving that vision also have to be weighed, or one might become, at least in this case, the actual thing they sought to explore on their own creation. And even though it can be loved for what it is in itself, it becomes a sort of moral box office flop, where more was spent on it than what it can ever give back. The documentary that explores the production of Fitzcarraldo, it's called The Burden of Dreams. It came out the same year as the film, and I kinda see this title working in two opposite ways. Once a dream appears in your mind, more so an ambitious, demanding one, A burden is inherently born out of it. It doesn't matter if you decide to fight for it or not. Because achieving the dream can cost you a lot, but not attempting it might weigh on you just as much. No matter the door you end up choosing, a different version of a burden will await you. It's a matter of deciding which one you want to bear.
Do you have the strength or the will or the enthusiasm or so? How can you ask this question? It is, if I abandon this project, I would be a man without dreams. And I don't want to live like that. I live my life or I end my life with this project.
Thank you for watching.